Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Worldcoin event with Flywall and Wangechi. I hope you're all well. We're all very excited to have you here, and they're very excited to present the World ID workshop today. If you have any questions throughout this workshop, please do post them in the chat box. Flywall will be answering them as he takes the workshop and as he goes along. And yeah, I hope you all enjoy. Handing over to Flywall.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Alex. Great seeing everyone, and we have a lot of people here, really exciting. I'm super pumped to be here, chat to you about World ID, Worldcoin, what we're building, and yeah, answer any questions that you may have. As Alex said, feel free to ask any questions throughout the talk on the chat. I'll try to get to them as quickly as possible, and maybe we'll have a few minutes towards the end to answer any more questions that you may have. But amazing, let's just jump right in. So World ID by Worldcoin. What is World ID? So World ID is a privacy-preserving proof of personhood protocol that we're building as part of Worldcoin. If you haven't heard about Worldcoin, I'll explain it in a sec. But how does this all start? We all believe crypto is awesome. One of the big problems that it has is that it has very little users in terms of the world's population. And we think crypto is going to enable a lot of interesting sociological and economical aspects, equality, things like that. So we very much want to bring crypto to as much people as possible. So we had this premise of, what if Bitcoin started by giving one coin to every person? How would that look like today? And obviously we can't do this with Bitcoin anymore, but why not do it with something else? So that's why we created the Worldcoin token. The Worldcoin token, it has a limited supply, and we want to distribute it to as many persons as possible. So every human in the world can get their share just for the fact of being humans. And we run into this issue of, how do you make sure that a single person is only claiming their share once and not claiming the share of 100 people or 1,000 people? So it turns into an important problem, because if someone claims 2 times their share, it's not the end of the world. But as we all know, there's a lot of bots and things out there, and this can turn into more than one. And so we run into this issue called civil attacks. So civil attacks basically means that you can replicate your concept of identity not 1 or 2 or 10 times, but 1,000 or 10,000 times, and game the system, which is awful, because then if we end up back at square one where we started, and potentially even worse. So we wanted to create a solution for civil attacks, but we wanted to create a solution that was private, inclusive, and scalable. So this introduced quite a bit of problems on how we solve this in a private, inclusive, and scalable way. And all of these are very important to us, because we want to reach as many people as possible without compromising their privacy. And if it's not scalable, if it's not inclusive, we're not reaching everyone on Earth who wants to be a part of this. So we explored a bunch of options on how to solve this. A lot of projects have these issues, and it turns out none of these options that you see here on the right comply with being private, inclusive, and scalable. So that's why we created this device called the Orb. And the Orb, basically what it does is it takes high resolution picture of your iris. It uses it to make sure that you're a unique person, and obviously you're first a person, then unique, and then it issues you something called a World ID. So you go to this device. This device will, in a privacy preserving way, take the picture, process it on device, destroy the picture, but doing it in a way that, you know, if you come back at some time later, we'll know that you've already gotten your share. And this is great, right? Because you don't need to do KYC. You don't need to provide your name or your passport or things like that. You don't need to provide any personal information. There's no like database of images. It's a very privacy preserving solution. But we wanted to go even further in terms of privacy, at least for the protocol. So we introduced zero knowledge proofs. So the whole protocol and everything works with zero knowledge proofs. Whenever you're using your World ID, it gets completely decoupled and unlinked to any wallet address, to any application, to it's completely isolated. And this way we can make sure that we're always preserving the user's privacy. So with World ID, what you can do is you can prove that you're a real person and that you have never done something before. So, you know, I'm a real person, and in our case, I've never claimed Worldcoin. But of course, as we build this protocol, we realize there's a lot of projects out there and a lot of applications out there that suffer from civil attacks. So it's not just about like, I've never claimed Worldcoin, but about so many other things. So you can think of it like, I've never voted on this, or I've never minted this, or I've never created an account here. You can think of social networks, how they're plagued with bots. So we wanted to extend this protocol and allow anyone to actually benefit from this civil resistance. So with World ID, you can anonymously verify that someone is a real human claiming something only once. And then we decided to extend this a little bit further, you know, because we realized a lot of solutions out there for how we interact with users and identify users and interact with their information is done in a centralized and privacy compromising way. So with something that humans can only have once, we can enable a bunch of different use cases where, you know, you can only do something once. The World ID is completely open source, open protocol, lives on chain, and is self-custodial. So that means that your World ID, which is essentially a pair of keys, lives in your phone and only your phone. No one other than the person has access to their World ID. Only the person knows their set of keys, and whenever they're using it outside, they just prove that they have this set of keys anonymously. So how does that look like? So imagine you have a website like this where you just want to do an airdrop and you're giving away some tokens to users, but you want to make sure that bots don't claim multiple times. So you would just add something that looks like this, very CAPTCHA-like. The user will verify with their Worldcoin app and prove they're doing something only once. Of course, the developer can easily verify the proof both on and off chain and be sure that a user is doing something only once. So how does it work actually? So from a user standpoint first, which is a lot simpler to understand is user goes to an orb with their Worldcoin app, shows the orb a QR code that contains the public key of their world ID. The orb verifies the person's unique and issues the world ID by adding the public key to a public record of verified keys. So the user now has their world ID and they can use it to prove continuously that they're a unique person doing something only once. In the background, it's a little bit more complex because, as we said, this has to be private. It's one of the main characteristics of the entire protocol. So the user has a set of keys. The public key is called a semaphore hash. And this key is essentially what gets inserted into a Merkle tree on chain that contains a list of all verified identities. The public key is linked to the iris code. The iris code is a mathematical representation of the entropy of the iris that does not allow reversion towards like the original image. But the important thing here is even if your semaphore hash is linked to your iris code, there is no way of ever knowing which semaphore hash belongs to a person, because every time you use it through zero knowledge proofs. So whenever you're using it, let's say for claiming Worldcoin, your wallet will generate a zero knowledge proof that you know the secret to a semaphore hash that is in the Merkle tree of verified identities, and will say like, please send me my Worldcoin to whatever address. In our case, for instance, in the Worldcoin app, you can claim Worldcoin up to 10 times. Every time that you claim is technically possible to receive them in a different wallet address, and it wouldn't be a problem because you are issuing a zero knowledge proof that you're only claiming each share once. Now, in terms of how it can be used outside the Worldcoin ecosystem, so we have a very simple SDK that you integrate on the front end, and then we have two ways of verifying the proofs, both on-chain and off-chain with the developer portal. This looks a lot more complicated than it actually is to use it, but essentially what happens is you sort of wrap whatever transaction it is that you're doing, so minting an NFT, issuing a token, whatever it is that you're doing, and before doing that action, you take the user through the zero knowledge flow and verify the proof. So from this complexity, we go to something a lot more simple. So here it is. So you load the JavaScript widget on the front end, a few lines of code. You just tell the widget like, hey, insert this CAPTCHA box in my website, and then the widget will do all the process with the user, and then give you the zero knowledge proof that the user is indeed a unique human, and you can simply call our API and verify it that way. Of course, you can also easily verify it on chain by, instead of calling our API, you can call the smart contract directly and be like, this is the proof, and the smart contract will automatically check whether the proof is valid or not. In terms of the experience, the user sees something like this, they get a QR code, and they'll see a prompt like this in their Worldcoin app where it tells you like whatever app wants to verify that you're only doing this once. So in this case, like receiving an airdrop, and you can verify or decline. If you verify, the app will generate the zero knowledge proof in the background and let the app use it. This has a ton of applications in multiple different fields. So it's really exciting. There's a lot of stuff that has civil attacks problems, everything from Web3 to very traditional Web2 approaches. Of course, things, very basic things like democratic voting, one person, one vote, to even more complicated things like person-bound NFTs, where you can always make sure that an NFT always belongs to the same human. But it has a ton of applications. We have a lot more examples on our documentation, which you can check out. Here are our docs. Great place to start. Developer portal is also super easy to walk you through the process. And then I'm gonna show you just how easy it is by doing a live coding session of how to integrate World ID. So give me a sec to switch here. All right, so here we go. So I'm gonna show you this application that we have. In this case, we're gonna issue a POAP, but that you can only claim once as a human. So in case you don't know, a POAP, proof of attendance protocol, is basically an NFT that you've interacted with someone, met someone, either in person or online. It's sort of like a badge of, being here, done that. It's really exciting. But, obviously one of the premises of POAPs is making sure that like actual humans are claiming it and not bots. So we have this example here where you could claim a POAP, but we want to make sure that users are only claiming it once. So right here, I have a very simple screen, and then all I need to do to make this work is I'm gonna add the Worldcoin widget right here. So first of all, let's do an import. The widget. And then let's do should be good. What are we missing here? Should be fine. And then we're gonna load the widget very simply here. Claim POAP. All right, so this should mount the widget. Let me just make sure that this should work. All right, let's see. Oh, widgets unavailable. Let's fix that. So if you're using the widget on Next.js, as it's my case, you need to do a dynamic import here because the widget relies on window to be defined, so it won't work for server-side rendering. So it's really important to make sure that you're not importing it remotely. What is this? Oh, I know what the problem is. Should be fine now. All right, we have the widget here. It's saying widgets unavailable, so we're gonna easily fix that by setting an action ID. So the action ID sets the scope for how you're verifying your users. So you can simply get an action ID from the developer portal. That's the easiest thing to do. And you can see that the widget here is mounted. I can get a QR code and verify that someone's a unique person quite easily here. So now that I have this, I could actually generate a zero knowledge proof with my application, with my Worldcoin app, and prove that I'm a unique human. So if you're developing locally, of course, like you may have not gone to an org because you need to do this physically, but we have a simulator that you can easily access in simulator.worldcoin.org that will generate test identities that you can use to go through the entire system. So it's quite easy. You just come in here, it'll generate an identity. Here it's inserting it on chain, and now you have a verified identity that you can use to generate the zero knowledge proofs as if you have gone to an org. An important distinction is if you're doing this in production, the World ID contracts currently live on Polygon. If you're doing this on staging with the simulator, the contracts are on the Mumbai testnet. If you want to stay off of on-chain interactions, you can simply use our developer portal, and the developer portal will easily handle both cases. So as you can see here now, I can copy this this QR code, which simulates the Worldcoin app, and it'll let me run the verification process as if I was scanning it with my app. An alternative is, let me see if I can. Oh, no, it's not going to work with the app. Alternatively, you can do it with the app. I don't have my phone connected to Zoom, so I won't be able to show you that. So let's just do it with the simulator. So that's for the front end. So as for the back end, here comes the important part. You absolutely need to verify the proof, because here you get the proof. You get the zero knowledge proof that a user is verified, but you need to check it on your end to make sure the proof is valid, because here I'm just getting the proof. I don't know if I'm getting something valid or not. So the easiest way to do that would be with our API. You can of course do it with a smart contract. I'm gonna show you in a sec how to do it with a smart contract. But if you're doing it with an API request, it's just as simple as calling our API. So it would be something like this, where we just call the verify endpoint, and we'll have to send five attributes to verify a proof. So first of all is the signal. The signal, you said it's important to send the same signal both to the widget and the API, otherwise it won't check out. The action ID, as I said, you get this from developer portal. Then you'll need to send the Merkle root, the nullifier hash, and the proof. These three parameters come from the widget, so they're part of the proof. The widget will automatically send you this params, so you don't need to worry about those. You don't need to do any special handling unless you're doing this on chain. If you're doing this on chain, the proof is packed, so you need to unpack it. There's instructions for that in our repo. And then you'll simply get a response. If verification response is okay, then issue BOAP here If not, well, there's already an error here. So it can simply be something like we send a 200 and send the POAP URL. So this will automatically do the proof verification for you. If you want to do on-chain, what I recommend is checking out our starter kit, which I'm gonna link here. And with the starter kit, you will simply clone this, and then go here into contracts, and then as you can see here, what's happening is you'll call our smart contract to verify that the proof that a user is registered in World ID and it's generating a valid zero knowledge proof. If the proof is valid, the code will continue, and then you can just execute your logic here. So issue NFT or an airdrop, whatever it is that you're doing. If the proof is not valid, the contract will revert. So you have this protection here. Easiest way to get started with smart contracts. And it looks like we have a few questions. So I'm gonna get to those. Can you delete your own World ID at any time or for any reason? So the World ID is completely self-custodial. So if you delete your Worldcoin app without any backups, your World ID is gone. There's nothing else. Every time that you use it, because you're using it with zero knowledge proofs, like there's no way of tying anything. So it's for apps to delete it, I mean, it's not really necessary. What as a developer you get as a sort of user identifier is this concept called nullifier hash. So the nullifier hash is a unique hash from the user's identity and the action ID. So you can treat that as a unique user ID. You know that the same person will always have the same ID for your same action, and that's how you guarantee uniqueness. But that ID is different for every action out there. So there's really no link between actions. There's really no link between a person's ID and what's happening outside the scope of World ID. So completely private in that way. Can I give my World ID to use by anybody or have it be used via such things as smart contracts? So you cannot share your World ID. That's the whole principle. One person, one World ID. So that's only for you. However, of course, you can use it with any applications. So any applications can integrate this. They can even integrate directly on chain, and it's completely open protocol. Anyone could use it. All right, so that is, let's go back to the presentation. So we have the widget, simulator, examples, everything can be found in id.worldcoin.org. You can also join our Discord. We're in discord.gg/worldcoin. You can ask us any questions about ideas that you have, any technical difficulties that you're running into. We're happy to help. We do want to give a huge shout out to some open source projects that make the whole World ID and Worldcoin protocol possible. Semaphore is what we use to generate all these zero knowledge proofs. Hubble, where the Worldcoin token lives, and Wallet Connect, which we heavily use to connect the Worldcoin app to the developers' applications. Wouldn't be possible without them. And finally, we want to share a little bit more on what we're going to be working on for this protocol. So right now we are in a beta phase. We have the developer portal. We have this in production. It fully works, but it's we haven't made an official announcement yet. As we go along, we'll do that. We want to port these over to multiple chains. So right now, it's, as I said, it's only Polygon, but this can be easily replicated across multiple chains so that, you know, any developer can use it wherever they want. We're working on making it more scalable in terms of gas fees for insertions. You actually don't need to worry too much about that, and make it completely available to anyone who wants to use it. So it's a summary. World ID, we're solving civil resistance at scale in a private, inclusive way. It's completely self-custody. User has their World ID and no one else. It's open source and open protocol, and it's very easy to use for developers. And I'll leave a few minutes for any questions that you may have.
If any of you have questions, feel free to post them in the chat, or even you can take yourself off mute and ask it on Zoom. We've got one question.
Amazing. Yeah. What if I sell it? Very interesting question. So one thing that we're working on is recovery of your World ID. Imagine you lose your phone, you lose your backup, God forbid, but it's possible to lose it, right? So one very important thing we're working on is being able to just go back to an orb and say like, hey, I'm here, we'll revoke the old one and we'll issue you a new one. So that's also what heavily disincentivizes you to sell it, or especially for someone to buy it, because why would I buy something from you that you can just go around the corner and get back? So that's how we're tackling. Also, right now, it's not possible to export the World ID part from the Worldcoin app. Obviously, it's not impossible, but we're working on all of these mechanisms, so it's not possible to transfer it. This is meant to be one for each person. I saw the app on Play Store for the airdrop. I need to get an operator. How do I get one? So we have a map of operators on the app. We're working a lot on getting more and more operators on the ground. If for development, you can just use the simulator and should be completely useful for that. Simulator.worldcoin.org, and you can just use this on the staging version. It's exactly the same thing. So World ID will have history. No, it does not have history in terms of like every developer chooses what to use with that. So it's really like if you use your World ID to claim an NFT, say with app A, and you use your World ID to claim another NFT with app B, there's no way to link those. So that's why very much the challenge right now we're facing is it's so private, it's hard to figure out this recovery part. So that's what we're working on right now. What chains does World ID support? Polygon. If you're using production, Polygon mainnet. If you're using staging network, Mumbai. And if you're using it off-chain, anything, it's just an API. Any last questions from anyone? Amazing. Well, thank you so much. It was great chatting with you. We'll be around on Discord. Feel free to ask anything that comes up. And yeah, really excited to see what you guys build. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Flywall, and thank you to the Worldcoin team for being here today and giving us this workshop. We really, really appreciate it. And thank you all for coming to this workshop. We enjoy hosting these events. If you don't mind, do you mind switching on your cameras? I'd love to take a quick screenshot to post on Twitter to show everybody that we have such awesome workshops happening. So switch on your camera and do what Pietro is doing. Pull some peace signs, stick your tongue out, make a funny face. You can even like do a reaction on the emojis like this. So that'll be awesome. All right, I'll count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. I think there was a total of 4 of us who put our cameras on. Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. I hope you have a lovely day. And if you have any questions, please ask in the technical questions channel and we'll be there to answer it. Awesome. Bye.